Today I found this great piece about the military spending of the world. And why don't we just listen to Ben explain this?
These days, there's a non-stop deluge of propaganda in the Western media claiming that China and Russia are threatening the world. We're constantly told that Russia is a military threat to peace on planet Earth. And yet, new data shows that the United States is responsible for roughly 40% of all military expenditure on planet Earth. And NATO is responsible for over half of military expenditure on Earth. We're talking about more than $1.2 trillion spent on the military just in 2022. In fact, the United States spent 10 times as much on its military in 2022 than Russia did. The US spent $877 billion on its military. Russia spent $86 billion, 1/10 of what Washington spent. The United States spent more than the next 10 largest military spenders combined, including China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, Britain, Germany, France, South Korea, Japan, and Ukraine. And keep in mind, many of those countries are US allies. So in 2022, the US spent 3 times as much on its military than China and 10 times as much on its military than Russia. That, by the way, this data that I've been looking at is only the official federal government spending data. The reality is that the Pentagon, the US Department of Defense, spends trillions of dollars that are unaccounted for. We don't know how much the US military actually spends. Yahoo Finance reported, citing Bloomberg, that the Department of Defense made $35 trillion in accounting adjustments just in 2019. In 2018, the Pentagon made $30.7 trillion in accounting adjustments. That is larger than the entire US economy, the entire GDP. And it shows that the Pentagon is unable to actually report on its spending. The Pentagon has failed every single audit that it has ever tried. Just in 2018, there were 562,000 adjustments made in the Pentagon's accounting. And a member of Congress, Jackie Speer, asked the U.S. Government Accountability Office to look into this issue, into the, quote, combined errors, shorthand, and sloppy record keeping by DoD accountants that add up to a number nearly 1.5 times the size of the U.S. economy. And she charged that the Pentagon, quote, employs accounting adjustments like a contractor paints over mold. Their priority is making the situation look manageable, not solving the underlying problem. So everything that I've been talking about today is, again, only based on the official data. So we constantly hear in Western media that they accuse China, for instance, of downplaying how much military spending it actually carries out. Oh, China's spending way more, or Russia's spending way more. Well, the US is spending significantly more, exponentially more, because the official spending in 2022 was $877 billion, 40% of the entire world's military spending, bigger than the next 10 biggest spenders combined. And yet, in reality, we're talking about tens of trillions of dollars of spending per year that's unaccounted for in the accounting, in the books of the Pentagon. So, I mean, this report referred to it as the Pentagon's $35 trillion accounting black hole. And that's a good way to describe it. It's a black hole.